This is an internal declassified audio record of the Department of Spatial Integrity. This audio record is intended for operational personnel of the department. The incident is dated to May 1960. In primary reports, the event was recorded under the code name out-of-profile resonance. This category excludes a direct connection to biological contamination or a physical rupture of reality. At the time of registration, the object was not considered a priority. The signal was registered on the 14th of May at 22:47. A call was received by the central switchboard from the municipal service of Hollow Creek. The dispatcher reported citizen complaints regarding industrial acoustic interference within a residential sector. Under standard conditions, the request would have been rejected at the stage of initial sorting. Resolution of such incidents falls under the exclusive authority of local law enforcement. The department maintains no regulatory framework for the handling of noise complaints. Despite the absence of grounds, the duty communications officer manually altered the case status. The request was assigned the Alpha 1 category, requiring immediate deployment. No justification is recorded in the log. Subsequently, an order was recorded from the Office of Special Programs, transmitted via a secure channel. Directive states that Object 102 requires the physical presence of a field agent. The objective of the operation was passive background monitoring without interference in the structural layout of the site. The agent received a document packet containing no data on land ownership or site history. A briefing of less than 3 minutes contained a single requirement: listen to the soil. If the soil speaks, do not respond. No clarification of this instruction was provided. Procedures for response in the event of feedback from the object are absent from the protocol. Deployment to the site was conducted at 0400 hours. The department classified the situation as a local acoustic anomaly. The nature of the resonance and the scale of potential consequences were not established at the start of the operation. The D.S.I agent arrived in Hollow Creek at 10:32 in the morning. The town consisted of standard early 1960s development, featuring a typical road grid and residential structures under construction. Object number 102 is located on the outskirts, within a dead-end sector directly adjacent to the forest boundary. At the time of arrival, the construction site was vacant. The structure was in the stage of a concrete foundation with a wooden frame forming the first floor. The agent proceeded in accordance with the standard protocol for inspection of the foundation perimeter. No heavy machinery was present on the site. According to available data, construction equipment is removed daily for security purposes. Measurements were conducted using a standard concealed diagnostic kit. Initial checks of radiation background and electromagnetic emission revealed no deviations. Recorded values corresponded to regional norms. The Earth magnetic field remained stable. A working hypothesis of a false call was recorded in the field log. At this stage, the incident was assessed as the result of social deviation or a technical error originating from municipal services. During inspection of the technical recess at the base of the foundation, the first out-of-protocol effect was recorded. With an external air temperature of 18 degrees Celsius, a sharp decline in readings began directly at the concrete slab. The agent documented a visual manifestation of the effect in the form of vapor produced during respiration. Instrument readings confirmed an anomalous decrease in temperature. The report states that the concrete mass behaves as an active cooling medium. The cause of heat absorption is not established. No structural changes to the material were recorded. At midday, the agent requested authorization to terminate the mission due to the absence of observable threats. A directive from the central office, received via an encrypted channel, ordered the agent to remain on position. The order required deployment of the ECHO-S seismic system. Direct contact with civilian individuals was prohibited. By 1400 hours, 4 sensors were installed at the corners of the foundation, with a scanning depth of up to 30 meters. In the pre-evening period, a change in the geometry of shadows cast by load-bearing structures was recorded. Shadows from the house frame appeared visually denser and more complex than the actual beams. Under certain lighting phases, the shadow of a fully completed structure was observed on the ground. Upon direct verification, the effect disappeared. and only the empty wooden framework remained visible. A waiting period commenced. The agent took position inside the vehicle, activated the recorder, and transitioned to audio monitoring. The first 3 hours of recording contained only background crackle and static interference. At 0041, the instrument panel indicators recorded a critical spike. Silence ended. The sound source was localized not in the external environment, but within the material itself. At 0041, seismic sensors of the Echo S system recorded a step-like increase in acoustic pressure. The signal emerged instantaneously. No growth phase was observed. Sound level reached a peak value of 82 decibels. Primary energy was concentrated in the low frequency range from 20 to 60 Hz. Audiologist 10203A states that the hum is increasing. By subjective perception, the sound is identical to the operation of multiple diesel generators within an enclosed space. Vibration is transmitted through the vehicle chassis. Seismic sensors placed on open ground registered lower intensity than sensors mounted on the concrete slab. The sound does not propagate through air and produces no echo. The source of oscillation is localized within the material structure. At 112, rhythmic impulses appeared within the noise structure. Frequency measured at 120 beats per minute. Spectral analysis identifies the signals as pneumatic hammer operation and rotation of a concrete mixer drum. Visual monitoring continued to show no environmental changes. Dust on foundation beams remained motionless. At 1:30, the temperature of the concrete mass dropped to -12 degrees Celsius. Frost formation was recorded on wooden frame supports under stable air humidity. The process was classified as intensive heat absorption of indeterminate nature. Physical contact with the foundation slab during this phase is not recommended. At 1:45, acoustic instruments recorded movement of objects within Sector B4. Only a flat concrete outline is physically present in this area. Microphones registered sounds of footsteps and door closure within an enclosed volume. Physical distance measurements based on reflected signal produced values between 12 and 14 feet. The actual width of the foundation at this point is 8 feet. At 2:30, audiologist 10203B reports that acoustic displacement is being observed. The sound of a winch is audible directly overhead, where no flooring exists. The sounds possess volume and depth inconsistent with the architecture of the object. The magnetic recorder registered a surge in field intensity of 4.2 Oersted. The acoustic pattern began to contain overlapping fragments from different temporal layers. Noise associated with heavy machinery is superimposed with domestic sounds characteristic of a residential interior. At 3:15, the level of low-frequency hum began to decrease smoothly at a rate of 3 decibels per minute. Associated effects persisted without observable change. At 4 hours, acoustic activity ceased instantaneously. The temperature of the concrete began a gradual return to background values. The foundation of Object 102 functions as a passive retransmitter. The recorded acoustic signals do not correspond to construction processes of 1960. The site transmits environmental states that have not yet been realized in physical space. The object is currently in a phase of autonomous data playback. Official urban development records contained no information indicating industrial use of this territory. However, classified military archives provided data that had been removed from public registries after 1948. According to archival schematics dated from 1936 through 1944, a secret facility operated at the construction site. It functioned under civilian cover as a consumer electronics factory. The primary production focus involved development of reel-to-reel magnetic recorders. Experimental recording heads and prototype devices for long-term data storage were also produced at this location. The facility was shut down under accelerated conditions in 1944. An official report specifying the reasons for liquidation of the factory is absent from archival holdings. During dismantling, a portion of the equipment was deemed unsuitable for transport. Archival documents confirm burial of a significant volume of components directly beneath the foundation of the present structure. Burial was conducted within a technical excavation pit. No subsequent retrieval of these production elements was performed. Additional inspection revealed the use of specific metallic alloys. These materials lacked standard raw material certification. In internal memoranda, they were designated as materials outside standard supply chains. Their use was authorized under exceptional wartime conditions. Raw material was supplied through processing facilities in the Midwest. Scrap of unknown origin was utilized, delivered after a meteorite impact in late 1935. Composition analysis revealed traces of ionizing radiation. Such indicators were not characteristic of conventional industrial sources of that period. Recording heads produced from this alloy were assigned the conditional designation Alloy X. They demonstrated the capability to retain noise signatures even after complete loss of electrical power. Laboratory conclusions from 1944 indicate that Alloy X does not reproduce sound in the traditional physical sense. The alloy preserves acoustic information as a stable state within its crystalline lattice. In 1943, factory staff submitted widespread complaints regarding an acoustic phantom background within the workshops. Workers reported hearing machinery sounds that continued to emanate from empty space after shifts ended. At that time, management disregarded these reports. The complaints were classified as routine production-related hallucinations. The foundation of Object 102 was poured over an accumulation of active components. These elements retained the capability for autonomous registration and retransmission of environmental states. The buried devices continue to function in a passive mode. The data recording process does not require electrical circuits or external energy sources. Based on data obtained during night observation and archival review, the analytical division has formulated a working hypothesis regarding the nature of the phenomenon. It has been established that the recorded hum is not the result of external activity or the operation of third-party equipment. It is assumed that buried components based on Alloy X continue to function in a passive mode. The process of acoustic information registration is carried out through the physical properties of the materials rather than through electrical circuits. The soil performs the function of an amplifying medium. Sound oscillations accumulate directly within the crystalline lattice of the substrate. The key anomaly associated with Object 102 at the present stage is the discrepancy between the recorded acoustic pattern and the historical context of the site. Analysis of spectral characteristics indicates that the noises correspond to processes that have not yet been physically realized at this location. Within the department working hypothesis, Alloy X records structural changes in the environment prior to their actual occurrence. The site transmits acoustic traces of future states. A recording process is observed for events that are expected to occur within this space. An increase in acoustic detail is observed in zones where walls and structural overlaps are physically absent. Of particular concern is the delay of reflected signals. This indicates the presence of internal volumes exceeding the actual dimensions of the construction site. The fixation of overlapping fragments from different temporal layers indicates a violation of chronological sequence within the signal. There exists a risk of further destabilization of the spatial geometry of the object. At the current time, the department classifies Object 102 as a point of high instability. Knowledge of the underlying process mechanics does not guarantee the ability to control its further development. The state of the object is assessed as an incomplete resonance of time and matter. The case was closed on the 28th of July, 1960. Observation was terminated. Information was transferred to the Omega Level Archive. Based on notification of increasing instability within the Hollow Creek sector, the operational leadership of the department issued a decision to suspend field activity. Agent access to the site was revoked. Any further fixation of anomalies was classified as a violation of security protocol. In the service assessment, Object 102 is designated as acoustically unstable. Direct technical intervention is considered impractical at the present stage. A directive was approved to complete construction in accordance with the original project plan. Alteration of the foundation structure or excavation of subsurface layers is prohibited. According to calculated models, erection of the full structure may create the required static load. This measure is regarded as a hypothetical means of fixing the residual signal. Notification of site owners or contractors regarding analytical findings is prohibited. Information concerning the industrial history of the site and alloy X-based components has been reclassified. Any work conducted within the site boundaries requires authorization exceeding the level of state jurisdiction. Construction of Object 102 was completed in February 1961. An internal report recorded communications from owners concerning sounds of object movement and mechanical operation. Acoustic localization of the noises continues to not correspond with the physical layout of the premises. These communications were left without response. Complaints associated with this address are subject to automatic closure. Acoustic anomalies associated with alloy X are not subject to elimination through system dismantling. They persist within the environment and manifest at points where the corresponding physical event has not yet occurred. The listener of this recording should consider the following. The fixation of sounds of future actions in empty rooms indicates that the recording of these events has already been completed. You are not an observer of the process. You are located within it. Case 102 is closed. The object status is passive retention.